Carlbo Tennis.
Hi everybody, tennis coach Robert Carlbo here with CarlboTennis.com. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about how far to take the racket back. So I've seen that many times where we take the racket back too far and it causes some problems in terms of contact point. So we get into the ready position over here, and right in front of me, if we call this 0 and we go here, we call this 90 and 180. So we want to go ahead and take the racket back to 180. So we're going to stop right here. We don't want the racket to go any further, okay? So what happens is I need this racket to go from here, rotate to this spot. So I need this distance to get to this spot. If I go too far back with the exact same distance here, I'm only going to get somewhere here. And that's going to cause me to hit the ball late. So the balls generally will go that way because the contact is here. And I'm not able to use my entire body because I'm hitting the ball between my legs. I can't use my entire body, my glutes, my core to get into the shot there because I'm hitting it here late, okay? So I want to make sure that I get to 180 degrees right here so that I can go forward. And it's much more important, and I'll talk about this in one of the other videos, about the punch and how the punch can actually help you hit the ball better. The follow through is much more important than how far you take the racket back. Many times we take the racket back and we say, we got to take it back more to generate more power, but that isn't necessarily the case. We sometimes have to take the back a little bit shorter, especially on return of serves and balls that are coming quickly, so we have time and we want to focus on following through. But again, that's for another video. So we're going to go ahead and get the racket here to 180 degrees, and then we're going to swing forward. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit this ball here. So I'm at 180 degrees and I follow through. So I'm right here and then I come forward. And this is going to allow me to generate the appropriate rotation so I can hit the ball slightly in front of my left foot here because I'm right-handed. So here, and the racket comes forward and I have that contact. Now, once I have this contact here, if I go back further here, I'm not able to rotate. So we see people going back here. So they rotate a little bit more. So the racket is actually back here and they're trying to rotate and we get in a late position. So the ball sometimes will go a little bit to the side that way as opposed to rotating. Sometimes we compensate by using the wrist at the end. So we get really far back here and then we try to compensate by using the wrist and the arm. And we don't want to do that. We want to just use the proper mechanics. A lot of times what we'll see with professional tennis players when we hit the ball harder is something called lag, okay? So because the racket has some distance and it's heavy, okay, than just my hand, what happens is when I rotate very quickly, what happens is the racket is gonna stay back for a second after I start my initial rotation. So it looks something like this. Rotate and then the racket comes through. And you will see this a lot of times with professional tennis players, okay? So many times we mistakenly, and I see this a lot, we take the racket back here, we bend the wrist. So that's another problem that happens. The same situation as we take the racket back too far. So we get here, the racket is here, we have the wrist here, and then we try to compensate. So go ahead. So we have the racket in this position here, and we try to come forward. So we're here, and then we add the wrist, and then we come forward. And that's not what we want to do. We want to go ahead and create that lag. So again, what happens is the racket is here, and then I rotate forward, and the racket comes afterwards, okay? So again, the hips are driving the initial force. So I get this force, and this comes through. And that's what you see with the professional tennis players. The racket looks back here, looks like they're using the wrist and all these different things, but it's actually lag. So I'm gonna hit a few balls here, and I'm gonna hit these a little bit harder. So you're gonna notice that I'm gonna create some lag here when I rotate. So the racket goes back, sorry. Racket is back, and then we're gonna create some lag on that one. So it's because I'm rotating my hips faster. So you're gonna see that, and that creates that additional rotation. And I'm not using my wrist. My hands are very, very, very loose. Every time I hit the ball, my arm is loose. So here, I rotate, and we create that motion. I hope this video has been helpful in terms of how far we take the racket back. A lot of times we take the racket back and we go back a little bit too far, and that's a problem. We need to make sure we have the right amount of take back so that we are able to generate the right amount of follow through and have the correct contact point. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we have new videos. And thank you for spending your time listening to me, and good luck with your tennis. Thank you.
For more information on Carlbo Tennis, visit www.carlbotennis.com. If you wish to email Coach Robert, please do so at robert@carlbotennis.com or visit his Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Carlbo Tennis. Tennis for the people.